Hey everybody, I'm Justin with Cognito Motorsports. Today I want to show you the Cognito Ultimate Leveling Kit. When we thought the Elite Leveling Kits were the best you could buy, something else comes out. So, I want to start with the front of the truck here and show you all the components here, all right? So, number one is the Cognito Upper Control Arm Kit. This is a ball joint style SM series, so our sheet metal series upper control arm kit. When you take this kit out of the box, it looks just like this. It's ready to go on your truck. So we've got a maintenance-free, high angle, corrected angle ball joint in this control arm. You know, beautiful branding. Maintenance-free pivot bushings already pressed in. Again, these things are ready to go on the control arm. Beautiful arms. Also in the front is going to be these new Fox Factory Race Series 3-inch internal bypass race shocks. And you're going, I know you're going, hey, I don't race my truck. I understand. But some people have to have the best of the best. You're going to have your people out there who follow racers and they want the same kind of technology. Well, guess what? Fox stuck all of their race technology into these shocks for your Chevy or GMC half-ton truck. So the truck we're talking about here is a 2019 to present, so to 2024, GMC or Chevy 1500 Sierra or Silverado. So again, these shocks are 3-inch internal bypass. Here's your coilovers. They also have these recirculating reservoirs. Okay, so you'll see the double hose reservoir on this deal with the fin reservoirs. So beautiful shocks. Very familiar with their internal bypass shocks. Same stuff I race with in the desert in the Polaris Razors. I used 3-inch internal bypass Fox shocks on that as well. Very familiar, very comfortable shocks, and very capable. I understand most people are not going to use these shocks to their potential in their trucks, but some people just have to have the best of the best. And this is what we've got. So beautiful branding, beautiful shocks. I mean, they come with everything that you need. The reservoir mounts, your instructions, everything. I'm going to move right along to the rear here as well. So in the rear, again, 3-inch internal bypass. So these, when I say internal bypass, they're not only velocity sensitive, but they're position sensitive, both in the compression circuit and the rebound circuit. Again, dual hose reservoirs, so your fluid actually circulates through the reservoir, cools with these fins here. Your standard street trucks, you know, aren't going to have an issue with overheating oil, but if you're off-road a lot, some people are working out of their trucks and they're on lease land and lease roads and stuff, shocks get hot, things like that. That's what these are built for, where you can cool the oil. Touching back again on the front here though, what's really important with a shock and getting the leveling kit and getting the ride quality you need is the amount of droop travel. So in these trucks, you in order to level a truck properly, you need to have 3 inches of droop travel minimum to keep a sufficient ride quality or the best ride quality you can get. Minimum of 3-inch droop travel. It's super important. Well, you can do that with our control arms because they give you the opportunity to add droop travel if you get the longer shock in there, which we're doing with these Fox shocks. So we're going to get 3 inches of ride height increase with the front shocks and the control arms, and we're adding droop travel, so we maintain a minimum of 3 inches of droop travel. Now, if you have a Denali, if you got a GMC Denali and you have ARC, adaptive ride control, you know that you have sensors on your upper control arms and you have sensors on the shocks, okay? Our control arms have provisions for the sensors, and then we also toss in this simple hardware pack and instructions so you can bypass ARC. It's very simple. In the rear, because of the construction of these shocks and what's going on internally here, you have to lift the rear of that truck. Okay, that rear of the truck needs to be a minimum of 1 inch taller than stock if you have a standard truck. If you have an AT4 or a Trail Boss, the front's going to get you only 1 inch of lift because your truck was already 2 inches taller front and rear. And the rear, these are direct bolt-on for a Trail Boss. You don't have to lift the rear because it's already lifted. You do have the option to lower the rear an inch though. I'll show you that here in a second. But same technology in the rear shocks. Fox factory race series 3.0 inch shocks, internal bypass. Again, beautiful shocks. The front and rears do have dual speed compression adjusters as well. So you got your low speed compression and your high speed compression adjusters. Reservoir mounts are all included, and Fox has thorough instructions on them. That covers the front, that covers your rear shocks. Now as far as rear lift, if you have a standard truck and you need to lift it 1 inch, you actually have an adjustable rear lift with what we're giving you here. So we're lifting the rear and also increasing performance using these Deaver mini packs, okay? So these are gonna replace your stock bottom overload spring. So if you look at your spring pack, you have 2 thin leaves and then a real thick bottom overload. That overload's a little harsh. This mini pack has several leaves in it. It's going to replace that overload. It gives you a more progressive overload, and we've got these spacers in here so you can kind of adjust your ride height for the stance that you want. Personally, I like 1 inch of lift in the rear, or say an AT4, I like 1 inch negative lift. So I want to drop the rear 1 inch on an AT4 personally, and I have other provisions to do either one there. If you have a standard truck, you got to put bump stop spacers in it, so we have those included. Also, the mini packs will require longer U-bolts, and it's including that as well. As you can probably imagine, and just looking at these shocks and the way I explained them, they are expensive. So this package is for a larger budget individual for sure. I mean, we're talking over an $8,000 leveling kit here. So this is not for everybody. We definitely have other leveling kit packages to suit everyone and everyone's budget. This is for the guy who wants to go all out and has a large budget. That is a description of all the parts laid out here. We'll give you some close-up shots. Then we're going to install it on my new AT4, and then I'm going to show you the finished product. Okay, we're back on my 2023 AT4 1500 Sierra. And to be honest, we kind of ran into a little time constraint. So I've been driving this truck with this kit on it. Before we showed you the parts all laid out on the truck, on the table, and talked about what it was going to do. But now I want to show them to you on the truck. Okay. So if you want to come a little closer here, so we have our upper control arms installed on the truck. We have our Fox 3-inch factory race series internal bypass shocks on the truck. Now remember, I told you what's important here to get a truck to work and ride right is to have the proper amount of droop travel. So stock, when this truck was lifted up in the air and the suspension was drooped, this knuckle would have been about 3 inches higher, okay? So this is a 3-inch leveling kit. Now on an AT4 it's only 1 inch because the AT4 is already 2 inches taller. But stock, this truck had 3 inches of droop travel. Well, we added 3 more inches of droop travel but converted into ride height. And when we converted into ride height, that all happened with this new coilover shock, okay? So we have this beautiful Fox shock in place here, and I'll just show you some of the features. I mean, beautiful anodizing and branding. You got your black powder coated coil spring here. This thing's got a dual hose. You guys probably haven't seen that before. This is race inspired stuff right here. So dual hose, you got this big reservoir with the DSC. So DSC stands for dual speed compression. So it's a DSC adjuster. So we have low speed compression on this small knob, high speed compression on the big knob. Now I've been testing it fully soft, and the ride on this truck is super cush. Probably the best riding truck I've ever been in with the tire I chose. If I was going to go off-road, I probably would crank some compression in this thing. This truck doesn't see a lot of off-road other than towing my kid's dirt bike to the track. So all in all the components up front really are the coilover shock package, the Cognito upper control arm package here, And then let me take you to the rear of the truck. So in the rear, again, our 3-inch factory race series internal bypass Fox shock. Okay, so it's in place. Now on this particular setup on the half tons, the reservoir hoses go over the frame, in between the frame and the bed. Again, you have the dual hoses. So what the dual hoses do is it actually circulates oil through the reservoir and back through the other hose. So they're unidirectional. So oil's going in one hose and going out the other. So you have this nice big cooler to cool your oil, which for street trucks you don't really need, okay? If you're gonna be off-road a lot, or maybe some guys work off-road on lease roads, things like that, they're chattery, you're definitely gonna heat up oil. That's what this would be for. Again, DSC adjuster for low speed and high speed, and I've got this thing set fully soft just so I could see what it could take fully soft. Super comfortable, takes anything I want to do with it. Beautiful riding truck. The other things that are included in this kit is the Deaver mini packs. So these bottom 3 leaves here and this spacer took the place of the stock thick overload spring. That thick overload is gone. Now we have the Deaver mini pack in there. Gives a more progressive overload spring, so it doesn't hit so hard. So like sometimes when you hit a speed bump, you go over a small speed bump, you're okay, and then you hit just a little bit bigger one and the rear wants to buck. That's because that overload, that stock overload sort of came into play. To where the Deaver makes this mini pack overload, which is a more progressive feel, so it doesn't hit so harsh. And we also get some lift out of that as well. Now, being that this is an AT4, yes, it was already a little taller in the back than your standard. I actually lowered this truck a little bit because I wanted a really level stance, not a factory type rake. So I actually lowered this truck 1 inch in the rear and brought the front up 1 inch in the rear because this is an AT4. If you have a standard truck or non-AT4, you're going to be lifting the rear 1 inch instead of taking 1 inch away like I did, and your front end is going to come up 3 inches. Now, the mini packs do come with more spacers, so you can actually adjust the rake that you want. So you can go from 1 inch to 2.5 inches of lift in the rear if you're a standard or non-AT4 Trail Boss truck, or if you are an AT4, you can literally keep the rear end the same height if you like that rake with only bringing the front up 1 inch. But the other thing that's included in this kit is the bump stop spacer, which you need so that you do not bottom out the shock. You do not want to bottom out that shock. Now, if you have the standard truck or non-AT4, non-Trail Boss, you're going to add that along with the shocks. You need at least 1 inch of lift. Now this was an AT4, so it had a bump stop on this perch right here, okay? You can see we took it off. It was 2 inches tall. This guy here is only 1.5 inches tall. That's what we figured out you must have so that you do not bottom out this shock. All in all, do you need 3-inch factory race series Fox shocks? No, you don't need them. Do you want them? Probably. I mean, they're badass looking, right? So if your budget can afford it and you must have the best at no matter what cost, this is the kit you're going to want, okay? It's very expensive, but very good performing, and I don't think anybody's got anything better than this on their truck that sees me driving around. I want to show you the wheel and tire that I'm putting on this truck. So we've got a KMC. I like the bronze look, just kind of sets it apart from what most people do. So it's an 18-inch wheel. I like an 18x9 with 0 offset on these trucks, okay? The KMC wheel, this particular model, is an 18x8.5, 0 offset. The tire I chose is a Toyo Open Country RT Trail. I really like the tire. It's aggressive looking, rides pretty good, not a lot of noise. Size-wise, this is about as big of a tire as you can fit in this in the fender well. It's a 285/75 R18. Okay, so it comes out a little bit taller than a 35/1250, but a little bit narrower than a 1250, okay? So this is really a 35 1250 really only measures 34.5 tall and 1250 wide. This measures closer to 35 tall and about 11.8 wide, okay? It doesn't hang out a whole lot. It gives it more of an off-road look, which I like. There is trimming to do to the inner fender well, things like that to get that tire to clear. But all in all, that big tire fills up the fender well. I got 35s on this thing. It's a half ton. I didn't even have to put a lift kit on it. So really non-invasive install on this package. Okay, so here's my 2023 GMC Sierra AT4. It's got the Cognito 3-inch Ultimate Leveling kit on it. So here's the final product. Come on in, I want you to see the details in the fender well here and the tire size and all that stuff. So again, front upper control arm, and then that beautiful Fox 3.0 factory race series shock with the oil coolers, double hoses. Let's jump to the back here, get a look at what it looks like on the ground in the back. Pretty cool, the amount the reservoir is right in the fender well there. So two things, you can see all the money you spent on the vehicle and the mod you made, and then also you can easily get to those adjusters, the DSC adjusters right there. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I chose an AT4. In 2019, when these trucks came out, I wasn't sold on the AT4. I thought, well, okay, it's 2 inches taller front and rear. Hey, I want to put a leveling kit on a truck anyway, like I don't need to spend the extra money. After I worked on a few, I then understood. The reason I chose an AT4 is because I wanted the black and the paint match trim. So there's really no chrome on this truck other than the AT4 badge there. That's why I chose it. The interior's bitchin'. This is a 2023, so it's got the facelift and the new interior. I love the AT4 for that reason. Now, they do come from the dealer lot, 2 inches taller ride height front and rear. It's not a factory lift kit. It's a 2-inch taller ride height, and they do that via a longer shock in the front than the standard trucks, and then it does have a 2-inch block in the back, okay? I like a really level stance, which this truck has, okay? So you can look at fender wells, you look at bed rails. Truck is really level. That's the way I like it. I don't really like it higher in the back. So really with the mini packs in the back, I actually lowered the truck 1 inch. So it's 1 inch lower in the rear from an AT4 or 1 inch taller than a standard truck. The front end is 1 inch taller than an AT4 or 3 inches taller than a standard stock truck, okay? Again, the wheel and tire, so this is a 35 by say 11 3/4. So it's 285 75 R18. I like the 18-inch wheel. A 20-inch wheel, in my opinion, makes the tire look a little funny when you're going for an off-road look, okay? And I like an off-road look. The offset of this wheel is a 0 offset, but this KMC wheel is an 18 by 8.5, okay? So we're showing you here how much the tire pokes out from the body. It's not much at all. It really gives it a nice mean look without really poking the tires way out there, which is a whole different look in itself. But this 18 by 8.5 with 0 offset, I went ahead and stuck an 8mm wheel spacer behind it to kind of get the poke out that I wanted. If this were an 18 by 9 with 0 offset, it would look just like it does right here, okay? So all in all, awesome riding truck, super comfortable, off-road capable. If you're gonna go off-road with it, you can crank some compression in it very easily. You don't have to crawl on the ground to get to adjusters and things like that. Really easy to get to. This is a package that you don't need. This is gonna be one that you want. This is the Ultimate Leveling Kit. It comes with a large price tag. So I'm sure we're gonna hear about people talk about how much money it is. Hey, look, it's not for everybody, okay? This is for the guys that don't have a budget and need to have the best you can get and better than all their neighbors, okay? That's what this package is for. But all in all, it's bitchin', 3-inch shocks, 3-inch lift. It's an awesome truck. So hope you guys like it, and this will be available on our website, so take a peek. Shoot us any questions if you have them. Thanks a bunch. Cool.